Hello, everyone. I am LTJ Reeves, and this is Throwing Light. And remember, if you're not throwing light, you're not acting right. All right, we're in our final episode of the Pride Explosion package that we put together for June, and we have our final episode tonight with no other than Marcus Barela, International Mr. Leather 45 of the 2023 class. So before I get started, I do want to remind everybody that Throwing Light was first initiated and inspired by Ashwell Health and Wellness. Please check out ashwellatx.org and find out ways that you can donate or even contribute to their food bank because they do a lot in our local community in Austin. You don't even have to live in Austin to contribute to Ashwell. So please check them out, ashwellatx.org. Let's go ahead and get started. Hello, Marcus. What's up?
Hi, so good to be here in my apartment.
Finally, no, catching you off of your hot year that you just had. We know who you are in our community. For people that don't know you, why don't you tell them a little bit about yourself?
Well, I live in Los Angeles. I've worked at the Eagle LA for almost 20 years. I think it'll be 19 years in October. Um, I was the 2023 Eagle LA Mr. Leather, and I uh, competed for International Mr. Leather in 2023 and won that honor. And I traveled the world going to leather events for a whole year. And I guess I've just had my first month off of being IML leather ambassador.
Was it really a month off? Did you really have some time off, or are you still going?
No, no, I really have been taking time off. Um, I did a local event. I did a picnic. I think it's called Southland Gathering. I could be wrong about the name of the picnic, but that was super fun. I hosted that. And otherwise, I spent a lot of the year traveling, so I didn't work a whole lot at the bar. And so this month, I was scheduled to work every weekend, 3 days, all the days of the weekend and during the week. So I've sort of been just getting back to being home, getting back to being at work, getting back to having a bit of a routine. So yeah, it's definitely a month off of leather, a whole bunch of leather events.
So, we know that our new international Mr. Leather is Jamal, my IML brother. Fantastic. What I would like to talk a little bit is, when I first met you, it was at Austin Peak weekend of 2023. I was competing for Mr. Texas. I had no idea when I met you that you would be the international Mr. Leather, but
You know,
through that experience, we've bumped into each other several times, and I've been at a lot of events that you've been at. But I want to kind of not focus on things that you probably already talked about. What I want to focus more on is how has being international Mr. Leather changed you as a person?
how has it changed me as a person? I think that I'm making a vision board right now, and it's one of my favorite practices to do a vision board. Um, when I got sober 13 years ago, I made my first vision board, and then I decided it would be like a yearly thing that I would do. And during my time as IML, I made a vision board right before, and it was sort of a vision board for me doing my best for me winning. Um, and then a whole year went by, more than a year went by, and I hadn't done a vision board. And so now that's something I've been doing the last week. And one of the things that I put on there is this image of a heart that has a metal, sort of, actually, it's sort of like the the lanyard is wrapped around the heart a bunch of different times, and it sort of, to me, feels a bit like a bandage, and it has a medal at the bottom of it. And this is a random, because I make vision boards, I collect imagery all over the place for sometimes for years. I free magazines, any free magazine I find anywhere, I'll take it and I keep it. And I even cut out pictures and collect the pictures that I think are interesting that I might want to use someday. Anyway, so I feel like this experience was a bit of a like healing process for me in certain ways. Um, so when I put that on my vision board, I sort of really related to feeling like something. I mean, I hate to say this, and I might be processing this as we speak, but like there's a certain amount of like, I don't know, validation or something that the experience gave me to allow me to understand in another level, in another way, that yeah, I am okay. I do belong somewhere. Like, you know, there's like an old like hurt and pain that I have had a lot of attachment to, that as I've gotten older, as I've stayed sober for, I'm 13 years sober now. As I've stayed sober, that healing just becomes more and more and more. And when I won this contest, I didn't know that this. I didn't know I was going to win, and I knew I was going to give my all. But I feel like there's like that's part of what happened for me. Like this was just another layer of healing some old wound that I have. And so again, like I said, I'm sort of realizing this as I just put that image on there just a while ago on my vision board. So I haven't quite processed it, but I do believe it is a, a story, like a simple story that I've been familiar with for a long time. It's like my process of healing old wounds is something that I've been engaged with for the, you know, particularly I mark my sobriety as the starting point. But I think I was on that search and on that journey even before I got sober.
I relate to you in so many ways. I feel like my experience has validated me. I think I need that validation after being, a crystal meth addict for years. The community helps keep me sober. I don't know if you feel that way, but like when I'm in the community, I feel my sense of responsibility, and I don't want to let anybody down. I don't want to let myself down. And it really has done wonders in terms of my success. And it seems like you're on a journey of that as well. I want to go ahead and jump into more of you and your spirituality and your vision boards and things like that. When I competed this past May, you had something on there particularly that said to ask about your magic beans, right?
Yeah.
Why don't we talk about that?
Well, my magic beans were an extension of my vision board practice. I see my making vision boards, and I like to like build altars of objects that I feel have a sort of symbolic connection and have meaning to me. So it was I made this collage of me standing on top of the bean, that the sculpture in Chicago, that big silver bean. And I found that image in a magazine at the airport in Chicago, and I cut it out, and then I put a picture of me standing on top of that bean, on top of the planet Mars, which is Mars is a very competitive symbolism. It's related to Aries, which is, I like astrology. Um, and so I was going to compete in the contest. So I wanted to like summon some of that energy. But I ended up making little silver beans, and I decided to make 54 of them. I basically spray painted pinto beans um, with silver spray paint, and I took them with me to IML. And before somebody sent me a video of Guy Baldwin, who is an international Mr. Leather from, gosh, I don't know what year it was, but an older one. I'm not sure which one he was. Forgive me, but he was sort of he's definitely really iconic IML from the past, and actually a friend. Like he lives here in LA, and I visited him. But I was sent a video of him doing a speech that he would give before IML, and it was an iconic speech that he would give, and he would spin a whip around, and it was sort of supposed to be a meditation to the sound of this whip, and he would say various things. So I watched this in my room before the contest, and I was doing my own spiritual practice, and so I had some incense with me, and I took my little beans, and for each person, so 54 times, because I guess there was 54 contestants, including myself. I sent each one of those beans through the incense and said a little prayer for them. Like, this is for my brother, and the hope and the the love that he will send back to his community when he goes back. something like that. I can't remember what I said. Um, and I kept those little beans in a pocket in my vest when I was in my interview for IML. And afterward, I took them with me all around the world, anywhere I was traveling. And, my bio always said that if, asked me about my magic beans, I thought it was an interesting, funny little quirky thing. And every now and again, somebody would ask me, and when they would, I would offer them a tarot reading if they wanted. Um, so,
Tarot readings. I should
oh
have told
yeah,
you to do me while we are on here.
oh,
I'm
that
scared a little bit. I'm scared, Marcus. I'm scared that I'm gonna get like the death card. I know that doesn't mean death, but still, like, I get anxiety and I panic. Okay, so check this out.
oh,
I'm not as probably well versed in astrology as you, but I'm a Scorpio. My sun sign, my rising sign is Sagittarius. My moon sign is Scorpio. And then my Mercury, Saturn, and Pluto are in Scorpio. My Mars and Jupiter are Capricorn, and my Venus, Uranus, and Neptune are Sagittarius. I don't have any
mhm.
air in me. What do you think of that?
Well, as okay, I'm definitely an astrology novice, and so there are different air signs. We've got Libra, we've got Gemini, we've got Aquarius. So like a part of your chart is in like one of the 12 houses is in one of those air signs. And as I've learned more about astrology, I've learned we are all a combination of all the different factors. So you might lean very much towards all your watery uh, tendencies, but that doesn't mean that you can't choose to lean into some of your air tendencies in order to grow in ways that you aren't so naturally inclined. I think the thing I love about astrology is it gives these little easy to swallow categories to kind of focus on different ways that you might need to turn something on in your personality that isn't doesn't come naturally maybe. So we are, and also during certain times in your life, you might be going through a shift that moves you into this part of your chart, which is an air part. And so, maybe it's just that you haven't quite gotten there yet. But
So, what would you reveal to me what your signs are?
oh, I'm a Sagittarius sun
Okay.
sign.
When were
Um,
you born?
my birthday is December 10,
Okay,
1983,
cool. Okay.
and I'm from Midland, Texas. You're not from Texas originally, right?
I'm from Louisiana,
Right.
84.
All right. So we're like same age almost.
Yeah,
So
I'm October 25th, 1984.
yeah. So we're peers, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I'm a Sagittarius sun. I am a Gemini rising and a Pisces moon.
Oh, okay, Pisces moon. So, I agree with everything you're saying. I always tell people, I'm like, astrology is a great way to come up with like a way to think of people and interactions. It doesn't mean necessarily that there are not all these other factors that might. It's not like it's not a fortune cookie. It's way more involved than a fortune cookie premonition or whatever like that you want to call it. I mean, it generally has helped me. I would like to get deeper, but it helped me figure myself out a little bit more, especially the watery stuff. I tend to get really deep in things, and it helps me try to channel these other parts of me that I might not use that much. Um, when you ran for IML, was this part of your platform? Did you bring that to the judges?
Yeah, they say that when you do your interview, they base your interview questions off of everything that you put in your application. And I talked about tarot, I talked about astrology, I mentioned my sobriety and how long I've worked at the Eagle. And those were all the questions that they asked me about. Um, so yeah, I mean, I don't know that I would call like astrology and magic my like platform, but if anything, I had the most simple platform, and my message is just about authenticity. I mean, I said it in my speech, and so my version of authenticity involves magic and astrology and tarot, and so consistently, those are things that I would talk about.
As a writer, my degree is in creative writing, and one of the writing styles is called magical realism. And I write that style a lot. It tends to have real world settings where these magical elements happen, but they seem a part of the world. Um, so for tarot, let's talk about it. I don't know a lot of tarot friends. I guess I have tarot friends now, Terry's. Now what brought you to tarot, and how has tarot helped you?
When I first got sober, I came across a book called The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron, and that book, it's like a creativity workbook, and there's a bunch of different exercises within the book, and there's some tools to use on a weekly basis. And I have to say that, like, that is my favorite book I've ever came across. It's changed my life. I've continued to apply the tools that I used within that book. I think part of it, I think she talks to like engaging the sort of inner artist child in yourself, and I think that was the thing that I responded to within me. When I saw a deck of tarot cards, there was just a natural attraction to them, and I bought a tiny one, a very small deck, because I was like, I can't get into this. Like, I was timidly stepping my foot in that direction, but it was honestly just an attraction to the cards, and to an object. It was just like, I sometimes I don't know, like, why do I love leather? Like, why am I attracted to leather? It's just something I found beautiful and interesting and mysterious, and I wanted to know more about it. And so that's when it started. And then when the pandemic happened, I think I got even more into it. I had a little things changed in my life at that time. I had put tarot down to pursue my career as a makeup artist, which I don't pursue anymore. I don't do that anymore, but I spent about 10 years doing that. So I was just working 6 days a week, and I was in a relationship, but all that stuff fell apart. So, so during the pandemic is when all that stuff was falling apart, or had fallen apart, and that's when I picked up the tarot cards, and got even deeper into it, and then eventually astrology came too.
Do you do tarot on yourself?
Yeah, I mostly use it I don't necessarily do tarot. I don't charge for readings, and I don't like advertise that I give readings. I'll do it for friends if they want to do it, and for me, it's a very rational way of looking at some imagery, and attached to a specific question, and it kind of helps you look at it in a perspective that you might not have otherwise if you hadn't done the practice. So I think some people could use tarot in a very like tell your future kind of way. That's not how I use it. I don't believe I have that sort of power yet, or I don't know if I ever will, but it's a very logical sort of way to just use imagery and symbolism to inspire thinking about your situation in a new way.
Yeah, I totally am going to want you to do a tarot reading on me soon. So just know that. Consider me one of your friends that trust you well enough to let you do tarot, because I have always been terrified. I think maybe I watched like an episode of Dawson's Creek when I was growing up, and like one of the characters went and did tarot, and it was like they did this cards. It's like, oh, this mysterious man's going to come into your life, blah blah blah, and it turned out to be like her stepdad who had just got out of prison. I don't know. It was a weird episode, but I think that's amazing because I think that structure and something that helps shape your identity is a great thing because I don't think a lot of people know how to find faith and resources and to apply things like magic to their life because there are clearly magical elements to life and a lot of unexplainable things that we cannot explain. And so taking all of this in and coming off of an IML year, how is this enhancing that journey?
Um, well, I think these are tools that I use in order to connect with a spiritual part of myself. I had to do that. I had to really focus myself when I was preparing to do IML. I think that's one of the really interesting things that happens when a person decides to do a leather contest, any competition, is it really encourages a lot of like deep searching. So you get to know yourself pretty well. And so all of these things have been tools that I use to learn about myself more and what works for me and what motivates me in my future. Um, so I use them to do IML, and now I'm using the same tools to see the direction where I'm headed.
So you're planning on going back to school, right?
Yes, I start at UCLA as a Spanish community and culture major in August. So I'm getting ready for that. My vision board is a lot of blue and gold because and it has loteria cards on it because I'm studying Spanish. My hope is to become fluent in Spanish. I am Latino, but my parents didn't teach me Spanish, so I've taken it upon myself as an adult to learn, and I'm hoping that the school environment will really help motivate me to do the work that it takes to become fluent.
For sure, for sure. Aren't you doing something with gender studies too?
I'm hoping to also be like a queer studies minor, but the specifics on that are really not sure yet because I haven't been able. I have to get into the school to be able to navigate my.
For
I've already been
sure.
accepted, but I have to start taking classes and meeting meeting the professors and to be able to work with the counselor to be able to like really solidify that path.
You traveled to a few Spanish speaking places over your year, right?
Yeah, I went to Mexico City, Bogota, Colombia, Buenos Aires, Argentina, Santiago, Chile, and then also I went to Brazil as well, Sao Paulo, Brazil.
Did you find when you were there around people speaking Spanish that um can you speak Spanish now?
No, no, I'm
Okay.
not. My Spanish is pretty terrible. I'm
So this is
also
going to be an interesting question. As you being a Latino person, do people expect you to speak English? I mean, speak Spanish?
yes, that often happens. I mean, in Los Angeles, it's such a multicultural city that people look at me and they think I could be any number of cultures. But primarily, people see me as Latino. Guess I'm Latino, and I don't think it's not uncommon for many Latino Latin American born Latinos to not speak Spanish, particularly at a certain age, you know.
I'm coming from Louisiana with a Creole background. They started making us learning French in the fourth grade, but it wasn't like a family thing. It was a school thing. I took French all the way through high school and college. I'm supposed to be fluent on it, but I get so intimidated when I'm speaking it. But we had that same issue in Louisiana with the French culture and that not being passed down and stuff like that. So um, for me, I want to do better in terms of being able to engage that culture too. I'm very, very attracted to French culture and art. So that's something on my agenda for doing things. All right, Marcus, we are towards the end, and this is where we get into the meaty part, the last part. Every time I do this show, I ask people the same question at the very end. And it's a question that usually I draw out for a long time and I make this really dramatic introduction about it before I ask you the question. So I'm going to go ahead and ask you the question now. Marcus, is there any aspect of our community that you feel that we are not shedding enough light on?
Well, let's see. I think the easy way for me to answer this question is to kind of continue the focus that I had during my year as IML. I wanted to bring more attention to various Latin American leather communities. That's why I went to judge the Mr. Mexico contest in Mexico City. That's why I went to the Mr. Colombia contest in Bogota. That's why I visited the leather clubs during their monthly socials in Chile, um, Sao Paulo and Buenos Aires. So I I definitely think that people, when they think of leather, they are gonna mainly think of going to Berlin or maybe various places in Europe or in the U.S. But there is leather community down there as well. So I kind of like to remind people that you can experience, if you've never been to South America or Mexico, you can experience these places, but also have a leather event to go to as well.
So, Marcus, what is your future for the rest of this year? Is it just jumping into school?
Yeah, that's the primary. I need to get adjusted to being a full-time student, as I went to community college for a couple of years, and when I did that, I would only take one or two classes at a time. And so this time I have to be a full-time student, which is three classes, I believe. And I'm somebody who's very like set on getting really good grades, and school is not easy for me. So I suspect that I will be in here in my room at this computer doing a lot of homework for the rest of the next year. I would be interested in traveling to some Latin American places. I mean, particularly, I think it would be nice to go back to Bogota. And Steve Crespo is he was the runner up, right?
Yes,
And
yes. Eagle Manor, Wilton Manors. Yes. We're actually doing a thing soon too. I think I might go to Fort Lauderdale too to go see. I've got like you go to IML and now you have this whole family and you're trying to keep up with everybody, but things have been wild. I thought that I didn't know that coming off an IML that I had done well enough that people would reach out to me already for judging and things like that. So you just never know what's going to happen. You just got to show up and grow up and glow up, I guess you got to say. Marcus, I think it has been phenomenal. Seeing you travel all these places, do the thing. You are an incredibly kind human being. I've seen you go to all these small places too. You were at Rio Grande Valley. I almost died getting there, but I got there. So I just want to say I appreciate you so much for taking that time, come on and talk to me for a little bit. But you are a phenomenal human being. Everybody knows that. I only kind things about you. That's all ever people think. So I appreciate the energy that you have put out into the world. And I am 100% in your corner to see you fucking be the person that you want to be. And I just think you're a great person. You're a phenomenal human being. And I'm very appreciative for any kind of guidance you've ever given me or for taking your time for doing this. Okay.
yeah, well, it goes right back to you. There's only nine other people or so in the room during the interviews, but when you had your interview, you listed all these various things that you have your hands in, and it was very inspiring. I was like so interested and so impressed. I really admire how much effort and energy you put into all of your various projects. So keep up the good work, and thank you for doing this. This is one of those projects, and it really is amazing the outreach that we can have when you step up to the plate and say, hey, I'm going to do something a little more creative and put myself out there, and it's really beautiful.
This has given me the opportunity to travel the world by sitting right here. My goal as being the first Mr. Austin Eagle was visibility for our community. And yeah, here I am. We're 40 episodes into throwing light. I feel like every time I interview somebody, I absorb and it makes me stronger. So this is a quite a spiritual journey for me doing these. And I know this is something that's going to last for a long time. I mean, my goal is to touch every continent in its lifetime, you know, hopefully if I can. But I thank you so much. You were definitely one of my inspirations. And I hope to make you all proud.
Oh, well, you're definitely making me proud already. So good job.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So yeah, well, that brings us to the end of Throwing Light. Hey, I might be going to Claw LA, so I might be able to get to see you. I
Okay,
think
that
I'm
would
gonna
be
go
awesome.
back. I will let you
Yeah,
know for sure.
yeah. And
Cool.
let me know if you want the tarot reading. We'll
Oh, I
make
do. I'm going to be messaging you very soon. I do want the tarot reading. That's a real thing. You're going to be the first person that's ever done this for me.
all
But
right.
you
Well,
don't look like that creepy guy off of Dawson's Creek, so I'll let you do it.
I promise it's not scary.
All right. Okay, yo, well, that brings us to the end of Throwing Light. I want to thank Marcus again for his time. All right, so that ends Pride Explosion. Kicking over to July, I've got a special surprise for you because I think the community is in such a need of education and supporting each other. I'm doing another special for July, and it's called Summer School. I've got a group of people coming together next month. We're going to have Stormy Owsley. We're going to have Guy, the leather coach. I'm actually going to bring a group of my IMO brothers together for a special that we're going to be doing for y'all. And then I'm going to be having, who else am I having? I'm going to be having Rugger Canis. He is someone that's involved in sexual wellness and boundaries and health. And I can't wait to do all this stuff for y'all in July. So be looking out for that. But that brings us to the end. And remember, if you're not throwing lights, you're not acting right. Thank you, Marcus.
Thank you.
All right, let's see here.